Hello, everybody, and welcome to our final session of Zenith. We are so glad to be here and share what will hopefully be a satisfying Dungeons and Dragons game with you. My name is Alex. I will be our GM for the evening, and we're going to quickly go around and introduce ourselves, talk a little bit of channel stuff, and then hop right in. Um, yeah.
I'll go first then.
All right.
Hey everyone, My name is Abhishek. Uh, I have been playing and will play for one final time. Our one of our lovely assassins, Eris. She's gone through a lot, and we'll see how that's affected her.
Hi, my name is Seth. I'll be playing the other assassin, and his name is Vesper, and we just don't want to talk about it.
Fair enough.
Hi everyone, I'm Mozz. I'm playing Zahir and Kamar, our warlock fighter. Yeah, also don't want to talk about it.
Excellent. All right. And before we hop in, I will say that even though there are likely going to be no more dice rolls, and so nothing sort of narratively attached to any of our incentives, we are donating all of the proceeds associated with our incentives to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. This is a food and medical charity that operates in the sort of Palestine Levant area. They've been doing this work for about 30 years. And so by donating, unfortunately, you don't probably get to see any cool stuff happen in game as a result of just what this session is. But you still do get to contribute to a very relevant and impactful cause in the world today in the ways that are available to you. Uh, and with all that said, I think for the final time, I will ask you to allow me to share with you a perspective. We continue our slow fade into eternity after the apocalypse of Zenith. Memories of the end of the world linger in rubble, scar tissue, and fractured psyche. Pain echoes through the streets like a bell that won't stop ringing. Yet in these broken spaces, something else emerges. Neighbors share their bread. Strangers lift rubble together. Healers work until their hands won't stop shaking with exhaustion. This is the truth we find in the apocalypse, that in our darkest moments, some choose to light candles rather than curse the darkness. And tonight we see how actions become stories, become scripture, become truth. Because sometimes, in the wisdom of the past, one might read the fictions of old and find in them the strength to face their own end of the world. Because isn't that why we tell stories? Not just to pass on what happened, but to find what it means to be human when humanity itself hangs in the balance. Eris, Zahir, Vesper, and our beloved audience, what stories will you tell when the end of the world becomes the beginning of myth? Eris, we'll start with you. Where do we find you about a month after the world ends?
Funny enough, um, even despite the end of the world, the almost onset of the apocalypse itself, somehow people always are still finding a way to want stuff to be stolen. It's almost like it's one of the laws of the world. Gravity makes things fall, rain makes things wet, and people always want people to steal up things for them. So we'd find Eris on a job.
All right, very good. Vesper, where do we find you?
As ever, in the service of the Church of Enuma Elish of Manifest. It's just, what else can you do after the end of the world but try and find routine wherever you can grasp it?
And Zahir?
in the month after, they would have found a place probably somewhere in the crowded street, like the neighborhoods where mothers are without children, families are kind of broken, fathers, wives, daughters, sons. And in one little building, they have kind of taken residence with other families, all together, kind of helping out. Some of the older grandmothers taking care of Jade, while Zahir and Jamila are now taking to the streets. Zahir has their moonsicle, and even though they had put down the blade for years, Jamila has taken out their son's scimitar. They're doing little jobs, something a little at a time, for a new person who comes to that crowded part of the city where the homes are really, really small and food is a little scarce. And they're looking for a family member that is probably lost. And Zahir and Jamila are taking them in.
Sure. Let's start there then. There are many sections of Zenith these days that are essentially rubble. Fortunately, most of the city is still standing. A lot of the problems were concentrated in very specific areas of town. You make your way towards the city center, where the majority of the fighting and chaos ensued about a month ago, and rebuilding is almost complete, but there is still a relatively extensive catalog of missing individuals. As you comb the streets with Jamila, she kind of turns to you as you continue your search. How long do you think it'll be like this?
If it doesn't make your heart sad, I don't believe it will end. I think this is part of Zenith now. Whatever transforms this city, whatever ends at this point, it is whatever pieces we pick up, whatever Jade grows up to do with the pieces, it will be a new Zenith for us and them.
What can we do to make it a better one? We have to.
I think
But-
that's that, Jamila. It's the fact that you say we have to. We could walk away, and the fact that we say we have to is what's making it better. But look at me here already, making me a positive person.
Would you believe me if I told you it wasn't that hard?
No, no, never.
Very well. Keep your fictions then. You continue combing the streets. Unfortunately, your search is essentially fruitless. You return back to a small, sort of densely packed community that you've found yourself staying in, and receive something of a hero's welcome, but not so impersonal. Stories of your exploits are sort of common fireside tales at this point. occasionally exaggerated, but always told in good nature. Your daughter pushes through the crowd of people and sort of almost leaps at you at seeing you return.
Oh, okay. Oh, goodness. And Zahir just kind of, it's very neighborly, kind of the return. Rather than heroic, it's more just like
Exactly.
everyone kind of knows them, so they kind of goes like, "Oh, I want the bread. The table needs bread, so I need a couple things from you." And oh, did you finish out? There's a couple tables. A lot of meals have been together or like in groups of families. So when Jade gets into their arms, he just first says, "Little Noor, my little light, have you eaten?"
Yeah. I had some fish and some bread.
Good. And the blade that I gave you, you didn't take it to the other kids, right? You're just practicing.
I'm just practicing. I kept it hidden, like you said.
Good. We'll train later tonight.
She's very excited about that. Is teaching anyone else how to fight?
Yeah. Jamila was part of like an all-femme group of swordswomen, and so they had taken to the streets to like start training and practicing, mostly because the space.
Yeah.
And everybody kind of noticed, I'm guessing. And Zahir only has his moon sickle, so he just shows what he knows, a little to anyone who asks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an unconventional form of fighting. You're not exactly seeing many other people roll up with their sickles, but at the same time, you're still able to impart like good fundamentals. You're certainly a respected teacher among the individuals here. And yeah, as you proceed to, help sort of manage this community, people generally follow your direction and begin setting out all of what's needed to feed a relatively large mass of people. What are you thinking about? What's life like for Zahir inside?
Mar has been quiet, but a patient creature, and that patience frightens Zahir more than anything. But it is not fear of something unknown. It is fear of what dwells inside him of like seeing what was the streets that he never claimed for, he never wished for. He grew up and like in the poorest areas, and he did not claim like the best of it. But now this is his home. So seeing everything slowly rebuild, he's laughing at the thought of faith and how it still envelops him even when he was never part of anything. How it still permeates and returns to his mind over and over about trusting in it. And every time he thinks about it, he's just like, I don't do that. But he knows that there's like this voice, and it could be Kamar or it could just be him just saying, but you do believe.
As the night wears on, I'll say Jade approaches you. And she sort of tugs on your pant leg as the sun begins to set. There's someone new here. He's kind of just watching. And she points to a sort of odd, shadowy, gray cloaked figure who seems to have entered recently and is walking around just kind of awkwardly, almost as if searching for something.
Well, welcome, stranger. Food. Today, are you looking for something? A bed.
Yes.
There is one. Not here, though.
No, I'm looking for someone. I already have a place in the city. Tell me, can you help me find a man called Zahir? I have some questions for him.
He kind of does that, like, well, look at you, lucky. I was just about to go to bed. Jade, go upstairs. Let me deal with that. It is I, Zahir.
Ah, I am in luck. We'll get back to that. Vesper, you find yourself in the hallowed halls of the House of Reason, the largest temple to Enuma Elish, which still has possibly an even larger congregation than it did before all of this happened. Certainly, the legions of bizarre spinning angels in the sky at the end of the world did much to bolster the faith of people of certain predispositions. But you also find plenty of the well-meaning confused who are just looking for something of an answer, something that makes sense. It is a warm, brilliant sunset that you see streaming in through the stained glass as the hymns of the city rise up around you. What do you do? Where are you at?
I don't come here often anymore. I come here when I'm needed. So, if I'm here, it's because somebody summoned me.
Excellent. Then in that case, you have a handwritten letter from Mother Mishka requesting your
But
presence.
oh, my internet. I'm sorry. I don't
No,
know
it's
what
all
just
good. I
happened.
apologize.
Can you repeat what you said then? Because I didn't hear any of
Yeah.
it.
Whoops, my bad. I
You're
said
good.
in that case, you have a handwritten letter from Mother Mishka requesting your presence.
Okay. Then I don't remember what I would have said then. Sorry.
All good.
That would be the reason why I'm here.
Mhm.
I think I just said something along the lines of essentially trying to almost subconsciously avoid it.
Mhm.
But in the end it still feels like home. So there's just like a pull, and I think when he hears the hymns there is a sense
Mhm.
of belonging and bitterness.
Mhm. For sure. You make your way up the stairs to the tower where Mother Mishka has her sort of dwelling place. You head up, and there she is in a small little room, small little sort of desk that she's sitting by. There's an unfamiliar figure in here, gray robed, hooded. Seems a lot out of place. Ah, excuse us for a moment. The hooded figure nods and walks out. Hello, child. I haven't seen you recently.
Mother, you can hardly blame me for my absence.
No, and I apologize if blaming appeared to be on my mind. I'm only concerned for you.
I think there are others in Zenith who would be better subjects for our concern right now as a whole. I am, as ever, present.
She looks at you almost knowingly in an uncomfortable way. I will. I admire the concern you show for the other members of our city, but right now, my concern is for you. I hope you'll forgive me for not raising rubble with these old bones, but of all the needs the city is faced with, I do feel that yours are among those I'm most well equipped to address.
I
So come.
think I know that, but to be honest with you, I don't think I am ready for them to be addressed. If I'm perfectly honest.
What stops you?
Anger. Envy. These parts that I've learned to lock away for the sake of my work, which is for a greater cause, right? It's not just me. And now that all this has happened, I look inward and I don't know what's in there anymore. I have questions that I don't think I want answered.
I understand. As much as I am able. Your burden is heavy, and while I know you can bear it, it pains me that you must.
If you truly want to be of assistance, it would please me greatly if you could lend some of your knowledge and comfort to my parents instead. They have lived much longer than I have, and I think they are able to accept those words that you're ready to offer.
Of course. I will reach out to them tomorrow. But in exchange, you must promise me that whether with me or by yourself or with somebody else, you must promise me to work on this. I find myself at a bit of a loss for words, but at the same time, I'm worried you neglect yourself.
I suppose that's what's comfortable.
I understand. But other things can be comfortable too if you practice them long enough. I don't mean to invite you here to attempt to bolster your faith or to persuade you of any anything this way or that. I simply mean to care for you. Or at least to convince you to care for yourself.
I can accept the former.
I can work with that. Have you ever considered that this city is better off for your presence?
Vesper sighs heavily. Strangely, I believe you.
Good. This would be much easier than I thought it could be.
Maybe not for reasons that are moral or ethical, but I think the things I've done, some of the things that I've done are not things that other people would have been able to do. And maybe they didn't make Zenith a better place, but it's still standing. But maybe that's pride.
At this point, I consider it to be honest reflection. In any case, I do have one more favor I need to ask of you.
Of course. Name it.
The young man who was in here previously in the robe, he wants to hear your story and write of it. Would you speak with him? Anything you want to say is fine, but I just asked that you speak with him.
It's an odd favor.
I think it's important to write these things down.
Okay. I'll stop. I don't know where anyone's story begins, but I will see what he has to say, and I'll tell him what I can.
Excellent. Thank you, dear. Eris, we will now cut to you. You find yourself stalking through an abandoned building. Apparently there's something here, some kind of a wand or... Yeah. The details aren't too clear. There's a magical item you've got to get here. As you descend from sort of the upper part of this building that has been sort of blasted through into the rubble that occupies much of the ground floor. You find a sleeping individual. Looks like a real burly human man, long, sort of messy, tangled hair, and maybe a few feet away, you spot a let's call it a wand.
Now that she has the wand, obviously in her sight, she's normally she would be just ready to just primed and ready to just swipe and get out, but recent events have been a little food for thought for her.
Absolutely.
As opposed to like, what exactly do people think about other people, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
So she's gonna see if she can sort of tap in to her new gift.
Absolutely. Sure. Go ahead and roll insight with advantage.
Right. Check that bonus. $18.
All right. You sort of tap in and strange, almost like diving into yourself, diving into something empty, something that used to be there but no longer is, and instead of finding you find other stuff. In this space, you look at the sleeping man on the ground floor, and you feel sort of the easy peace of a scrounger who's found something valuable.
I think upon seeing that, or rather feeling that, probably a better word to say, she'll sort of give off a bit of a smirk and a light chuckle, not enough to probably wake the man. Because she remembers feeling like that once. Long time ago, back before she even made a name for herself, but there was a time where she also had that sort of same peace, scrounging around, finding something valuable, being satisfied that she did, and being able to actually sleep peacefully knowing, hey, might just be able to survive another night because of this. It's funny. You'd think for like the world, like one of Zenith's most notorious thieves, one who steals some of the most high value, most dangerous items, and if for those who know her, lives in a rather comfortable lap of luxury, you'd think she'd just want to take more of that for herself. And you'd be right most days. But after sort of reconnecting, it's almost like she feels empathy for what this man has gone through. So she'll take the wand, for sure. I mean, she was contracted to do so. But in its place, she'll leave a satchel containing about a few, we'll call it about 20 gold.
All right, sure thing. That was very cute. If there were still die rolls going on, I'd give you advantage for that. But yeah, absolutely. You're able to silently descend down into the guts of this building. You grab this wand. It sort of vibrates in your hand. You drop a sack full of gold and then hit the road.
One final thing, she would also probably leave her calling card as well.
Excellent. Very good. What was her calling card again?
So, this would probably make Vesper infuriated if she would see this, but this one would be a little bit more generic, not nearly the ones that are tailored for Vesper. It would be a simple card, but almost in the style of like the iconography you'd see of like the Church of Enuma Elish. But instead of the iconography, there would only be a single red eye, almost identical to the ones you see in Eris's human self. And she'd leave that there along with the satchel. And she just whisper a solid, no hard feelings, before making her way and escaping off into the night.
Absolutely. You escape off into the night and find yourself headed towards Cloud 9, where you are supposed to meet an unnamed contact who will be sitting in an unoccupied booth upstairs. You find your way back into the establishment. The owner, Telian, gives you a nod as you enter and doesn't ask any questions as you head straight upstairs.
Sort of roll and shrug her shoulders a bit, kind of stretching out some of that fatigue that she had, before making your way over to the booth that's supposedly occupied by her client.
Absolutely. You head into a booth and you find a gray-robed figure sitting there, quill in hand, waiting for you. Eris, if I'm not mistaken.
You aren't. She'll kind of look at the quill, and the quill in the paper, I'm assuming he's also holding some sort of parchment along with it.
Yeah.
So, anything interesting you're writing?
Well, I hope to be writing about you. That is why I contracted you, after all.
Oh.
Yes, apologies. This was the only way I could find to get in touch. But yes, the wand is essentially worthless, and the man you passed by was, well, really only watching it for me. Watching it for you.
Then I gotta ask, why go through all the trouble? I mean, I know I may be good, but good enough to write a story about?
Judging by some of the things I've heard, yes. So, what happened? All of everything leading into, I don't even know, the apocalypse, the Red Presence scare. What does it mean to you? What's your perspective?
I think at this she'll take a seat, sort of gather her thoughts for a little bit. What does it mean to me? Well, I can tell you means quite a few things to me. But I'll start with this. And I don't know if you want to continue with that or if you skip back to someone else.
No, let's go ahead and do you, then back to Seth, then ending on Zahir.
Alright. Well, then I'll start with this. Allow me to share with you the perspective of a survivor. When living to survive, one must only think of themselves. And yet, in a strange sort of paradox, a survivor knows that they would never be able to be where they are today without the support of others. Yet, far too often, survivors can very easily lose sight of that, especially when a survivor's identity and sense of self can change in the blink of an eye and snap of a finger. And she'll sort of change appearances to sort of emphasize that.
For sure.
Where once was someone who survived to help, give back to others, was now a survivor who lived for herself and herself only, drowning in riches and pleasure. And it felt good. Yet, she always knew that something was missing. Something she didn't want to admit. So she just pushed it down. And then along came the apocalypse. The magical Armageddon, the death of a god. but most especially, the loss of friends. It's funny how loss really serves as a reminder of things you often forget about. It also is a pretty good reminder when you find yourselves with a certain new gift, new way of understanding things. You realize that, maybe the way I was going about things was wrong. Sure, I may not be able to change my methodology, but maybe the motive could change. A sort of, you could really call it a sort of reinvention. So yes, that survivor may still continue to do goat chase for seek and chase after riches and pleasure, but now she won't really just do it for herself anymore. Now she'll do it to help others. Maybe through that, she can help them survive. Hell, maybe even thrive like she did. And they don't need to know it was her that did it. She can be some faceless figure, some nameless entity. Hell, she can even be a god of tricks and deceit even. As long as they receive her gift and use it to pull themselves up, she'll be happy for it. And at that, she'll sort of run a finger along the crown of thorns that has sort of been with her ever since the day of the apocalypse. Her hands have been, while rather dexterous, they've seen countless numbers of scars. The most recent of which are some burn scars, although they're not exactly charred. They look like charred skin, like normal burns would be. No, these are almost golden. Just drops and flecks and orbs of gold embedded in her skin. As she runs her finger along this crown of thorns, her reminder of both the power she now has, but also the promise she made to herself when everything changed the way it did. So, how's that for a perspective?
Just what I was looking for. Vesper, we now cut to you. A hooded figure enters Mother Mishka's office at her bidding. Sits down at the table across from you, takes out a quill, some parchment. Forgive me for occupying your time, Vesper, but I believe it will be important to document you, your perspectives, your actions. I heard whispers of your exploits, and well, I suppose I'd like to hear your story directly from you. What happened? How did you get here? How did we get here? What does it mean?
You want to hear about my exploits and what this means? I will share with you my perspective, but you won't like it.
Very well.
I can't remember if it was somebody in the Manifold Church or if it was a family friend, but I always heard this saying that grief is the price that we pay for love. And after what happened a couple months ago, I have to wonder what kind of reward I can expect if the only way I could ever express my devotion was through ties of blood. Freely given, by the way. Nobody ever coerced me into doing the kind of work that I did. I was the readied bow, the unquivered arrow, ready to be fired by Enuma Eilish's church. Just say the word. Vesper will take care of it. So when my twin became a casualty of the red presence, I wasn't truly surprised. But I was surprised at the fact that my faith did not insulate me from the consequences of my own actions. I had expected that I could be exempt from karma, or at least that she might have been. My perspective is that I now have to suppose that my God had other ideas about the nature of our relationship, and that I can't blame her for that. I just wonder where it leaves me.
The chronicler documents your statement in silence. And so here we will now cut to you. You find yourself speaking with a warm, friendly individual. You seem to have established a nice little community here. It's warm, kind.
Yes, we get by. We get by.
You get by well, it seems. There's part of me that hopes this style of living might catch on. An opportune time to make change. But I forget myself. I meant to look for you, speak to you. I've heard you were involved intimately in the details of, well, everything that happened at the tower. And in some of the great events leading up to it. I simply mean to document your experiences, your perspective. I think it would be good to have first-hand accounts of, well, all of this. Did you speak with me?
Yes, the lights will be dim soon, and my daughter will need me before she is to sleep.
Of course.
So I have some time. Allow me to share with you a perspective. Power does not simply corrupt, it mutates. It twists fate, bends the stars into symbols, and transforms miracles into chains. I took my faith, that fragile, unyielding light that I wanted to cling to in the darkest hours, and it twisted it into something unrecognizable. I always used to say or think, no. Anyway, from my time in the city, they claimed to save us, but salvation is a lie because it demanded submission. I am not a man who sits in the pews. I don't call for a word of prayer. That faith takes over everything, even those not baptized in its power. That's the sickness of it. And it starts with the good. It starts with the promise of better days. Steal one bread, feed today, and not steal and do good and last for a possible paradise in eternity. I did what I needed in this life. But power is insatiable. I stayed away from most things, and yet the world still found a way to drown me. It was everywhere. It was held in the hands of those only too happy to wield it against the rest of us and keep us cowering in the corner. So I did what I could. I got my bread. I stole what I needed to. I went to bed with the prettiest face, and I woke up next day doing the very same. And then I walked into our house for another job, and I saw something that made me believe. She was the high-ranking member of society, a wife to the Khalil Khan. And I expected her to scream for the guards. She instead caught me with her blade and called me to save her. I want to believe. That's the because that day I first finally believed. When I look at the city that stood beneath the stars, each light above this silent witness to all the prayers of the desperate, the hopeful, the broken I live amongst. Belief is a rebellion against that despair. And I feel it. This little thread that tethers us to something greater. And the miracles, that was the greatest tragedy of all. They were glimpses into something extraordinary. Small, sacred things. The first cry of a newborn. The way the light dances on water. The unspoken understanding and contract between two broken souls in the dark. After the tower, it feels like some miracles have become currency. Their presence. It spilled like paint for me, drowning every corner, every creed, every resistance. Faith was shaped into a blade and pressed to the throats of the faithful and the faithless like me, forcing them to bow for bread, for their city, for their streets, for their home. I know that feeling. And the angel of the presence called, I bowed to the power and strength that Kamar gave me, that I could not give to myself in this world of the faithful. I want to believe. I want to believe. I look at those who look at the light from the churches, and I said, no, the road is clear. The dirt on the streets are real. The brick that is broken, that is who I am. I am the piece that they leave on the ground because I do not fit into the foundation of what they are building. But I see it. I see the power. I see what I could get. I see what Kamar could give me. And I could feel the world molding to the shape if I only gave in. I am the angel's worst warlock, for I truly wish to believe, but I don't believe. So here, 2 shots, one for you, one for me. I look to the sky and I don't see the absence of light, but the potential. For me, the stars will shine again, at least in the color of jade. For faith for me is not in gods or miracles twisted in chains. There is Kamar waiting. And I don't know why or for who, but I think it is this unyielding will to see through the darkness and to fight with everything he has. And I believe it's for the light that still remains. But here, this is don't worry, I snuck it, and here, I'll pour one for you, one for me. Jamila likes a stash of for herself, so don't tell her I shared it.
Your secret's safe with me. Thank you.
Good.
The robed stranger takes his drink, downs it, and heads out. This was a very strange experience. Playing Zenith. I don't know. I could go on forever. To our audience, thank you for sharing these Thursday nights with us. To my players, thank you so much for building this world more than I ever could. With the conclusion of our epilogue, that will be the end of Zenith for now. I'm sure it will fade in and out of memory and in and out of contemporaneous storytelling as time goes on, but for now, this is where it departs reality, heads somewhere else. Lives rent-free in our minds, perhaps, but no longer on our lips and no longer in our performance. And for everyone who's participated in this in any way, playing, watching, running tech, hosting our show, I truly thank you. This was something special, and I'm grateful to have shared it. For the final time, I'm Alex. I have been your grateful dungeon master for this game. I cannot be found on the internet, but I'll be back. And that's really all I got to say about that.
I guess I can go next then. Excuse me, sorry. For the final time, hi everyone. My name is Abhishek Watange. I am a voice actor, TTRPG AP performer, and big lover of all things tokusatsu. You can find me. You can find my links. I'm trying so hard not to cry right now because the other two. God damn it! You can find me over on the Bird website at neon_raiden and on Blue Sky with just neon raiden no underscore. You can also find me on Instagram at Abhishek Watange _VO. I've had an absolute blast playing Eris. She's been honestly one of the most intriguing characters I have crafted in my entire 2.5 years as an AP performer. Fun fact, she was based off of a changeling bard that I made for a campaign that is unfortunately no longer continuing, but she was a changeling whispers bard who constantly fucked with her party by putting on a new disguise every single day and acting like she was a different person even though some of the party really knew it, she still did it just to fuck with them, and it was hilarious. But I figured, what if I went a little bit darker for Zenith? What if I made a shape-shifting assassin? Yeah, so that's really where Eris was born. Fun fact, Eris is actually not her real name. Eris is a pseudonym that she has been given. Well, that she gives to a lot of people. Eris, yeah. I was planning on revealing that a little later, but Eris is the pseudonym, is the identity name that she has given to the form that you all have most seen her as, the form that's in her fan art, in the art made by Michael. Her real name that she goes by when she's in her changeling form is Versi Pellis, which, surprise, surprise, is Latin for shapeshifter. And for other projects you can find me at, I am going to be in a project coming up in about a few weeks. Look forward to it around the first week of February. It's going to be over at Bad House RPG. Stay tuned and follow my socials for that if you want to learn more about it. I promise you it is going to be a frighteningly good time. That's all for me.
Hi everyone. I'm gonna try and do this real quick because I am not. Anyway, hi, I'm Mozz. I hate that I have to say goodbye to these awesome people. This Thursday was. Anyway, I'm a voice actor. I do a lot of TTRPG voice acting for GMs who need another voice at the table for NPCs and stuff, as well as cool stuff for animations and characters. But my favorite thing other than that is streaming with my community and running games over at Starcraft RPG, which we do have a GM request form. So for games in 2025, after I get real sad and then I move, and then I'll come back and stream on the 25th. I gotta spend a whole hour just staring at the wall for a bit. This is Zahir and Kamar. They have the faceless background, and it is always known as the Clark Kent Superman kind of relationship. And I enjoy playing Zahir because he represents this person who just wants to try, desperately wants to try. And then lots of things stop him when it comes to trying, I guess. God, I cannot get through this. I am trying to avoid the Zoom call because I can see I can see faces. I thank you all for having me at the table. Thank you all for watching. Alex, thank you for this awesome world that I will forever think about and have a place in my mind for. Y'all should go see all the episodes on YouTube if you can, because I will be crying. But yeah, other projects, go follow the socials. That's where you'll see me to share the stories. You want to see the games I run, go see Starcraft RPG. I'm hoping to do a cosplay of Nev soon. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Over to you.
I was doing so well. And I was so proud that I got through all of my character shit without crying this time. And I was sitting there bragging to my sister in DMs like, I fucking got through the monologue. I'm home free. And then I looked at my camera and I saw Mozz crying and I was like, God damn it. God damn it. But I'm fine now. And we're all fine and it's going to be okay. Hi, my name is Seth. I have been Vesper. I don't have anything upcoming and that hurts me deeply. Cast me in your shit. If you want to get a hold of me, find me in the Discord. You might be able to find me using the link in the sidebar. I'm not going to read it out for you. You can do your own homework. You'll be okay. God, this game, y'all. I had very clear goals and characterization in mind when I made Vesper, and he has not conformed to most of my ideas. I fully anticipated playing this character a specific way, getting it out of my system, because I wanted to play somebody who is different than the characters I usually play. And now I just don't feel like letting him go. And that is kind of a new place for me to be. I feel like most of my characters, I'm kind of okay with the resolutions. I'm not okay with Vesper's resolution in a few ways. There's more that I want to explore with him, and I don't know if it'll end up being, I don't know what system that'll end up being in, but I don't even know why I'm saying this. I'm just venting because this is new and weird for me to feel. So yeah, anyway, find me on the internet if you can, I guess. I don't know what I'm going to do with my Thursdays now, and that is weird. But my friends are going to be very sick of hearing me talk about this game. And yeah, I don't know. They're going to hate to see me coming because it's always going to be a YouTube link to one of the episodes. And be like, this part right here was so cool because this is when we did this and then this happened. And I'm just going to be completely fucking intolerable. So yeah, I think there might be some channel announcements. I'm going to stop talking now.
All right. We will keep our channel announcements brief for tonight. The only things to note is that we have a one-on-one session with Eris that takes place sort of contemporaneously with session 10. That will be uploaded next week. And again, as Mozz said, all of these episodes can be caught on YouTube. So if you ever want to catch up, watch again, I know I will. Yeah, it's all on YouTube, and other channel information, other projects that are going on in the channel, all that information can be found on either the Sword and Key Discord or the Sword and Key socials. With that said, for the final time, thank you for sharing your Thursdays with us, and until next time, I suppose.